Good evening, it's John, the old geek, and you might be wondering why you're looking at a page covered in dots. That's because I'm not going to do a review, I'm not going to do a discussion on RPGs, I'm going to draw a map. Now, I never used to bother with making my maps look really nice until this online thing happened because of the pandemic. And now I draw quite a lot of maps. I enjoy making them, and it's a little bit therapeutic. But the idea is I draw them, I scan them, I upload them to Roll20, and we play with them on Roll20. I do want them to look quite nice for that purpose. So let's get started. For this, these are what I'm using. We have a simple pencil and a number of pens in different sizes. The ones I have here, I just get them lined up nice and evenly. Hopefully you can see the thickness. The map's just going to be a couple of rooms, a cave with some owlbears in, and I just want to show you how it's done to make it pop, make it functional, and make it just look nice. And bear in mind, I have no artistic talent whatsoever. So, to show how easy it is. Assuming 10 foot per square, that's a sensible enough outline. Okay. Now with caves, you can just put a little bit in there, maybe block that bit off, pop that there, and look, it quickly becomes 3 caves. So, first things first, after having done the pencils, I'm going to do a quick rough outline with a relatively thin pen. Now I use a 1 for this purpose. Now all I'm going to do, it doesn't need to follow the pencil very accurately because I'll be rubbing the pencil out later. I'm English, I use a rubber, not an eraser. Because rubber means something completely different over this side of the Atlantic. There we go. You can see we now have an outline, little section. There's going to be 3 caves. With that outline, this outline is next. This next one is probably the most important one. Now go a little bit more slowly, and this is where you add in jaggediness. This is the 3. Doesn't need to follow it all exactly, because with a cave you want quite a rough effect to make it feel more natural. I'm just going over the black. So this is where a family of owlbears are going to live. Mummy and Daddy owlbear. Probably not a baby owlbear, because adventurers always seem to want to tame baby creatures. And I'm the sort of DM where the owlbear would grow up and probably want to eat the individual who is trying to tame it. Because, you know, nature can be like that. Right, now you've got a nice black outline. The next bit is the cross-hatching. Now this is a technique I got from the excellent Dyson Logos page. Check it out, he's a much better artist than I will ever be. He does the black and white maps you find in a lot of modern D&D stuff. So what I'm doing initially for the cross hatching is just drawing triangles with sets of 3 lines. Obviously not everywhere the triangles will fit properly, but they don't need to be regular, they just need to be roughly triangular-ish. Don't need to be accurate. Now if I'm doing something that's going to be, I'm going to take real pride in, I might do this a little more slowly. This is quite a rough and dirty map, but it's perfectly usable, and as you'll see it will turn out to be quite effective. It'll be quite dull watching me draw the triangles, I do apologise for that. Now the next bit is to connect them all up. Use blocks. I mostly use 3 lines each time, but you can look, done 4. Yeah, you can do 4. Makes it all that little bit more irregular. As I say, irregularity is what you want for a cave to feel natural. Everything feels regular, then it feels like somebody has made it. And most caves have been made by nature. Just like owlbears, sort of. Or maybe not. I think it was 1st edition D&D that said they were a creation of a mad wizard. Mad wizards have got a lot to answer for. As you can see, it is now filling in. Wish there was a way of speeding this up. I might edit some of this bit out, especially my owlbear comments sound embarrassing. If the video stretches over more than about 10 minutes, who wants to watch more than 10 minutes of an old git drawing sets of lines? Another reason why I took to drawing a lot of maps recently, you know when you play online and you reveal things on the map as the party go along, you don't want the party to see absolutely everything. And when you use a lot of pre-written adventures, and I'm currently running the Goodman Games conversion of The Lost City, big expensive book, lots of lovely maps, all of which show the locations of traps, hidden doors and so on. Now I play Call of Cthulhu, and when you buy a Call of Cthulhu product you get a PDF with it, and most of those PDFs I've had so far come with players maps. They've adapted to the online expectation, so all you do is you chop the player's map out and put that in the visual display of Roll20 or whatever it is you want to use, and straight away you've got a map with key details removed but that the players can see nice and safely. Now I do wish people who write stuff for D&D would do that, because Wizards of the Coast are one of the worst for burying maps inside big books. Makes them difficult to use, absolute pain in the backside. Right, let's add maybe a bit of foliage. There we go. Of course the owlbears don't want everybody finding their caves, so they will have picked a nice warm cave which has got a few trees covering the entrance, making it a little bit more difficult to see. As you can see, I've done the pencil outline again. This is my 1 pen. once again, I'll go over the edges with my 3 pen. Doesn't need to be perfectly accurate. You don't even need to go inside a tree at all with this outline. You just need to catch the edges to make them pop. Again, I'm doing it a little bit more quickly than I would usually, because this could be very dull otherwise. Okay, I've now pretty much finished using the 1s and the 3 pens. The next pen I'm going to use is the half. I say 1 and 3, it's 01 and 03, and this is the 005. This is the little diddy one, and this is the really thin one. So let's just use this to add textures. You can see, you can just add a little bit to the trees. Makes them look more like trees. Let's have some tufts of grass. Scatter them around a little bit. There we go. Simple tufts of grass. Now, one thing I don't particularly like about a lot of modern play is the over-reliance on a grid. So I turn the grid off in Roll20. It gives players a bit more freedom. It makes the game flow a little bit better rather than having counters snap to grid lines. That's really frustrating. It just gives that bit more flexibility in play as well. But what I do on my maps to give my players an idea of the scale is I will, even if it's a rough cave map such as this one, I will draw sort of grid lines, but I don't draw them all evenly. If you notice, I'm just dragging the pen using the half, just dragging it. If you can see the dots on the page I've got here, I hope it has picked up on the dots. This is a printed PDF from the website. I'll put the details in the bottom. And all I've done is I've downloaded a template which is dot paper with, I use a 4 or 5 mil gap between the dots. You can set it exactly how you want, but those are the ones I like. That's about 5 or 6 dots to an inch for those of us who use the old money. But if you're looking, see how they're crisscrossing. Now, they don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be perfect at all. They just need to give the general idea. It just helps with the scale. And there you go. A little cave complex. Ever so quick and easy. Quite dirty, quite rough. One last thing, I often forget this. The rubber, or eraser if you're American. What about the pencil? And there it is. Ready to scan, upload to Roll20, plop your counters in, and away you go. I hope it encourages people to draw their own maps, because I much prefer using maps like this to the big colourful stuff which is overly packed with detail, in my opinion. This sort of stuff for me fires the imagination a lot more. I've been John the Old Geek, showing you a very rough drawing technique of mine. I'll probably jazz this up now, add a few little rocks, maybe a nest, maybe make the walls a little bit rougher in places, but you can see how it's done. Dead easy. Thank you for watching. Hope it wasn't too boring.